Delighted to welcome on my next guest. He is the president of Bellator Fighting Championships, who announced they are going to be having a joint venture here with BAMA, Bellator 169 on the 16th of December, along with BAMA, which will be BAMA 27. First of all, Scott, I do appreciate the time. How are you, Mr. Scott Coker?
Good. It's my pleasure to be on. I appreciate the time.
Definitely appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy man, obviously, with all that's going on at the moment. It's obviously a big announcement for the promotion and for fighters and fans alike here. First of all, can you explain the intricate details of how the association came around with BAMA and how this card came to take place in Ireland?
I'll tell you, it's really it was about a relationship with David Green, and I became friends about a year and a half ago, and we've always, supported him and just had an open relationship as far as if you need any fighters, or if you guys have some fighters you want to send this way, and really we haven't really done that much business together, but when we started talking at the London event about our fall schedule, we said, hey, this would be kind of fun to do. Why don't we start working on a fight together that the fans can see in Dublin? We're in the business of looking for the next big fighter, the next big star, and we had James Gallagher fighting that night. He's under contract with Bellator, but we're looking for the next two or three, or even the next female. And as you know, there's a ton of talent up there, and we're looking forward to coming up there and checking out all the guys and girls fighting on the card.
Definitely. One of the interesting things, my co-host and colleague here wrote an article for newstalk.com today. He spoke to you last night, I believe. And the interesting thing about the deal is, it's going to allow crossover. It's allowed certain fighters that are contracted with BAMA in the UK and Ireland, they're going to be allowed to fight with you on your card as well. Can you tell me how that's going to work?
Yeah, I mean, what I told David, I said, look, if you want to, send some fighters our way, and we signed some fighters to fight in Bellator that come from BAMA, we could always have a policy where they have an open door. So if they want to go home and fight in their hometown, then we would let that happen. I mean, it doesn't have to be a closed door policy. And we've been very good, with our friends that have helped us promote in Italy and in Israel and the different countries that we're going to. And David's been a great guy to work with. So we look forward to doing maybe a couple shows with him a year, and then that policy will be open for the future.
We've obviously seen a few fights announced for the BAMA card, and we have the main event, King Mo versus Ishii. Do you expect any Irish fighters, bar James Gallagher, to be on that card in the deal with BAMA? Does this apply to this deal coming up for this fight card in December?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the opponents and the rest of the card, we will have something to announce shortly. Right now, I think that we'll hold off on announcing who's fighting who, but I can guarantee you it's going to be some good matchups, because we know that the Irish fan is a very knowledgeable fan and very passionate fan. So we're going to come there, and we're going to come there in a big way and deliver a great fight card.
How's the fight card going to work? Is it going to start off with the BAMA card? Is it going to be 5 fights on a BAMA sort of prelim main card, and then kick on to the Bellator main card? How's it going to work? Exactly how many fights are we likely to see?
Yeah, I think that you'll come there and you'll see a total of there's going to be probably six Bellator fights, and there'll probably be, I think there's going to be more BAMA fights, probably including BAMA's undercard, maybe 10 total fights for BAMA. So it'll be a big night of fights. It'll be a great way to end a great year in 2016 for MMA fans all over the world. And this will be broadcast not just in the UK, but it'll also be broadcast throughout the world, including Spike TV here in America, and all of our partners around the world.
Have you got a terrestrial TV deal in place in the Republic of Ireland for the card yet, or is that something you're going to work on?
Well, we have a deal with Spike UK and for Channel 5, but it hasn't been finalized what time they will air it exactly. But we're working on that right now.
What you've done, Scott, obviously in the past, you've brought through, if you look through the UFC roster now, your days in Strikeforce, we could have a whole, different show on who you've brought through, with your days in Strikeforce. We look at the UFC roster, Ronda, Tarek Safadine, Tyron Woodley, Cormier, Rockhold, the list goes on. Is this something possibly down the line, I know at Elite XC, when you were president of Strikeforce, that you acquired Elite XC. Is that something you might consider doing with BAMA in the future?
I mean, I think that, listen, we're owned, and I'm talking about Bellator. Bellator is owned by Viacom, which is a, powerful media company. And I think all options are open at this point. And so, Dave and I really haven't talked about that, but I think he enjoys Bama. I think he really has some good partners there. They've been doing a good job. I've been kind of watching them from across the pond. And, I think that we'll definitely be working together because he's a guy that I think really gets the sport. And he's a very good television producer. And actually, Spike TV and Viacom, they knew of him not from the fight business, but he had another show here at Viacom, a car show.
Okay.
Actually, and that's how he got his introduction to Viacom, and it was really the people inside of my company that said, "Hey, you should go reach out to David Green," and I said, "I talked to him. He's a great producer, and you should go meet him." And so that's how we met about 18 months ago.
You look at, your guy, as I mentioned just there, you've created a lot of stars. You've a very good eye for talent, as well as what you do with the business side of things. James Gallagher, a guy we all know very well here in Ireland. Has he got the star power that you're looking for? How far do you see him going?
I'll tell you what, James is somebody that we really like here at Bellator, and he came highly recommended. He's fought one fight for us, and it was a good fight. It was a tough fight for him. He's going to be in some more tough fights, but he's a young kid that I think has that X factor that we really like, and he knows how to handle himself on TV, and he has yet to prove himself. I think when I say yet to prove himself, I'm talking about fighting the top guys. But when he gets there, I think he'll do well, and I think that I think James will be a big star in this sport.
You said you have a 5-year.
And that's really,
yeah.
I'll tell you honestly, when you think about Strikeforce and sitting around the table with my guys at that time, which pretty much are the same guys today in Bellator, we were really good star identifiers and star builders in Strikeforce, and that's why we developed so many stars. And that same formula has come here to Bellator, and I think that that's really, James is one of the guys that we identified as, hey, this guy has potential superstar ability, and it's not just the fighting ability, because sometimes, they can fight, but they don't have that X factor, and then no one cares. You want to develop stars that people care about, and I think James has a big future ahead. Yeah,
you definitely have a lot of stars in the locker at the moment, obviously with a few of the free agency signings as well. The 5-year plan you spoke about, Scott, you said you're way ahead of that. How far ahead of that 5-year plan do you feel you are at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like really, I've been here 2.5 years. Maybe really, it's probably been more like 2, because the first 6 months we were just, trying to clean up, the operation that was currently in place. And, for the last 2 years, I think we've done a lot of good work. I think we've started building, the next level of stars from the ground up. And we started buying some of the top free agents that became available. That started really with Phil Davis. And went to Benson Henderson, Mitrione, Rory McDonald, and now with Chelson. And, man, now the roster just has some great fights ahead of it, and give me another couple of years, you'll see that we're going to develop some fighters from the ground up, we'll become big stars in the sport, and also we're going to keep buying the free agents. I mean, to me, that's really how we're going to round out this roster, because it already looks good now, but like I said, give me another couple of years, and it's going to be really, really robust.
Can you give us any updates on some of the, I was speaking to one of the free agents last weekend in Lawrence Larkin. He was over in Manchester at the UFC 204 card with his management team. We've Joseph Duffy, someone we know very well here, obviously being Irish as well. He's going to test the free agency, he said. Have you talked with any of these guys, or is there anything been happening?
Yeah, I think my guys are talking to the top managers and matchmakers over there. So I'm not sure exactly if they're in talks with those two gentlemen, but Lorenz is a guy that we had fight in Strikeforce in the very beginning of his career, and you know, but I gave my guys a task of, hey, we have to find the best talent around the world, because Bellator is not just a USA product anymore. This is a product, and we're going to go and travel the world, and we need the best fighters on our roster.
Definitely, and as we mentioned there, we hope to see a few Irish guys in the card. We're going to see James. Anyway, is there any opponent in mind, or have you anything set off for James at the moment? What's the situation there?
Yeah, the opponent isn't finalized, but we hope to have something done by the end of the week, and then we will have something good to announce by the end of the week or early next week. What
do you think it is with you, Scott? And you mentioned to me there, you're very much the promotion of Bellator is about the fighter. It's building fighter profiles. We see the guys in the UFC, the guys that you have there, the relationships you've produced with these guys. Is that what separates Bellator from other mixed martial arts promotions?
I think it all starts with the relationships. And at the end of the day, we're in the business of being, in the relationship business with our fighters. We're not. How do you say it? Like when it all starts from when you sit down with somebody, you get to know them, and really it's can you make the economics work once you get past that hurdle? It's it's how you treat them, what are their really wants and desires in the MMA fight game, and what are the accomplishments that they want to try to accomplish. And then if you look at our production, with the stage and the guys coming down the ramp, and it's just a whole different. We're trying to build a fighter to be star of the show, and I think we're doing a good job. And we're not asking the fighters to wear a uniform that everybody else has to wear. It's still very individual, and I think they appreciate that.
Definitely. Just a couple more things before I let you go. I really do appreciate the time. Just in relation to the matchmaking for this event, have you had a lot of communication with BAMMA back and forth on who's going to fight where, and on what organisation? As you said to me there, there's the possibility that you can have guys on the Bellator card that will be regularly fighting with BAMMA.
Yes, we just started that process actually, and we're going to finalize the Bellator card here in the next couple of days, and lock all the fights down. I'm sure I think they've already. Yeah,
we broke a few of the fights.
Matched up pretty much.
Yeah, we broke a few of the fights here on the website last night. Yeah, so a lot of the BAMMA fights are finalized. So then you know what? I told David, I said, look, if there's a slot and you want to send one of your guys over to the Bellator side to fight, then that will be open as well. So we're still working out the details. Scott, you're a guy for an eye, as we all know. Is there anyone on that BAMMA roster that you really think has that star power?
Boy, I tell you, there's some tremendous talent there, and you know what? I really would kind of save that judgment until I see with my own eyes, which I'll be there on December 16th. Excellent. But I can tell you this: I think that David Green and our company will do many years of business together.
Excellent stuff. Just one more for you. Any updates on Rory McDonald's return? I think it was going to be 2017. Is that still the case?
You know what? He's going to fight at 17. I think that he is still healing up from his nose injury, and so he's talking about something like maybe May or June of 17. And I think that that'll be the time frame that we shoot for as well.
Definitely good stuff. I believe you're a keen golfer as well, Scott. I presume you're going to have a round when you get over here. Maybe it'd probably be a bit too dark and dreary, but any interest in the golf courses here?
Oh yeah, believe me, I had a chance to play in Scotland for the first time about 6 months ago, and it was just an amazing experience. And I've heard so many great things about Ireland. The people, the towns, the culture, the landscape, the scenery, and of course the golf courses. So I will bring my clubs, and if there's a good day, I'm going to jump out.
I doubt it very much, being December 16th. You probably want to have to go out at 10 o'clock and finish up by lunchtime. But Scott, it's been a real pleasure having the show. Hopefully we can do something a little bit more in depth down the line and talk about the old times back in Strikeforce as well. It's been a real pleasure on the show. Looking forward to catching you over here in December on December 16th. It's been a real pleasure to have you on.
I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there December 16th, so we'll hang out.